Another week, another long week of training, working, judging, whatever the hell comes up, on this island. I'm trying to get into it. Trying to get in where I fit in. You know how it is. So this week was filled with ups and downs, things that are out of my control, things that are in my control, and I fucked up. The one thing that I'm learning a lot here, and I never really had a problem with being accountable with a lot of the things, or just accountable in life. But I think these weeks have made me realize that I can find excuses for everything. Some excuses are legitimate, and others excuses are just things that you make up in your mind to justify why you don't want to do something, why you don't want to chase after something. And I realized that can creep into someone's mindset pretty easily, especially if you're doing something that is extremely difficult physically and mentally. Heading into Monday, I felt great. The fitness classes are getting easier for me. You know what I mean? People are telling me that I look like I've lost weight, and I look slimmer than I did when I first got here, and I feel better. I feel better. I think that's the most important. Is like, I might not have lost that much weight, but I feel so much better physically. Woody, Som, Shah, the coaches, at Bangtao Fitness, they put us through these grueling workouts, but they're like perfect for the day. You know what I mean? For Monday, for Tuesday, Thursday, for Friday. They really put a lot of thought into it, and I appreciate that. And they do create this great environment that allows you to try to push yourself as hard as you can. And if you want to walk off and take a break, you know what I mean, you can walk off and take a break, but usually I don't. Okay, so the routine that they gave us was 100 reps. You start at 100 reps and you go down 90, 80, 70. So there's 10, basically I think there's 10 exercises, and the top one is at 100, and you go down all the way to 10, and then you work yourself back up, right? So normally I would have a hard time just reaching to the bottom, to the 10 reps exercise. But this time around, I went all the way down to 10, and then I actually started working myself up until the time limit, hit. Big accomplishment for myself and my fitness and my cardio. Felt really good about that, and took the rest of the day to work behind the desk, because Mondays are usually filled with a lot of editing and whatnot for the MMA site. So took the rest of the day to do that. Tuesday was pretty much the same thing. Woke up, went to fitness, got that over with, and then I had a night session of no-gi fundamentals that I was supposed to attend, but I never attended that class. And actually on Thursday, I did not attend that class as well. I have three, my rib is still somewhat bothering me, and my lower back for some reason is starting to stiffen up. So I had a talk with my jiu-jitsu coach, Alex Shield, and he told me that I need to be careful with especially the rib, but it's no excuse for skipping the fundamental classes, because in the fundamental classes there's a lot of drilling and a lot of technique stuff. So even if you are somewhat injured, you can still go to that class and learn, learn a lot. Especially for myself, I think I needed that, like I've been kind of avoiding the jiu-jitsu classes. That talk that I had with Alex about, like I mentioned earlier, being accountable, like doing what you can, knowing that you have some injuries, but that doesn't mean that you just sit at home and do nothing. You can do things, you can go out there. And I think that pertains to life in general. A lot of people are finding excuses for themselves for not doing certain things, not chasing after that job or that career, or not having kids, not getting married, not doing this, not doing that, and you find these excuses. And that's what I was doing with jiu-jitsu class. Even though, my excuses are legit, but still there is something I can always do. And I figured that out this week after my talk with Alex. Wednesday was pretty interesting. The reason why is that I went to my first MMA practice and participated. So George, my head coach, he told me to attend the Wednesday MMA practice, 4 p.m. Be there, bring your gloves, and you're gonna work on some stuff. So I went there and got into it right away. Partnered up with Top Noi. If you don't know who Top Noi is, he is a former Muay Thai champion that has turned his attention to MMA. He's had probably around 10 fights, pro fights, MMA, and you can go on YouTube and watch them. Full Metal Dojo, Ryzen. He is action packed. He's a little guy. He's 125er, but man, he would probably beat the shit out of me. And I figured that out real quick during MMA practice. We had a couple combinations, a couple techniques that we were learning. And one of the techniques you had to end with a calf kick, basically, and your partner would turn the knee to check the calf kick. So what would happen is that when you threw the kick, you would go shin to shin, and man, that hurt like hell. I've never felt shin to shin, bone to bone, ever. And we were doing it very, very light, and it still hurt me. Every time I would, go shin to shin and I would wince, Top Noi would laugh at me because he's conditioned his shins for years and years and years to the point where, like a little tap is not going to do anything to him. But for me, for somebody that's a newcomer, that shit hurt. And it's probably going to hurt some more. Like after practice, I was like running my fingers down my shin, and there was like little dents and shit. Like, man, I don't know what you can do to condition your shin, but watching like fighters snap their legs in fights, and most likely that's not gonna happen to me because I'm not gonna be throwing the type of power and technique and all that good stuff in my strikes. But still, like, that makes you think. Later that night, I went to Patong, and usually I don't go to Patong because Patong is the place where people go to party. I'm not here to party, and I'm not really like a party guy, so I don't head to Patong too often. But this time around, there was some fights, some MMA fights at Bangla Stadium. And Bangla Stadium, if you've ever been to Phuket, you know what that is. It's a pretty famous Muay Thai stadium, but this time around, TFC, a promotion run by Will Chope, was having MMA fights, I think for the first time ever. So it's pretty historic. So he's gonna have a show every month at Bangla, TFC show, which will be a mixture of Muay Thai and MMA. If you're ever in Phuket, I recommend to go to Bangla and go check it out. It's a pretty like historic place. The reason why I went is to judge. Will Chope reached out to me and asked me if I would judge the MMA fights, and I've never judged fights ever in the past. And it was a pretty easy night. There was 3 MMA fights. None of them went out of the first round, so they were all first round. I believe 2 of them were TKOs and 1 of them was a submission. So I didn't even have to write a score down for a round. So it was pretty easy. But while I'm here, I'm going to be judging more fights and trying to understand that aspect of the sport a little bit deeper. So the only way to understand is to do it, right? So in a couple of weeks, I'll be heading to Pattaya for another TFC show, and this show, the show that's coming up, it will be a full MMA card most likely, and I'll judge all those fights. And I'm pretty sure they're not gonna all be first round finishes. So in a later vlog, we will be heading to Pattaya. On the way back from Patong, it's about a 20-minute drive. We hopped into the back of a tuk-tuk. It was a fun time because 2 people were with me. Frank, who's my wrestling coach and my motivational speaker, as well as Big Will. And yeah, Big Will, he was singing at the top of his lungs, Thai classics, and and 90s hits, blasting out the speakers. And if you ever been to Thailand, you know the tuk-tuks have like flashing lights and huge speakers on the back of them, so you could just hook up your Bluetooth and have a good old times. So Thursday comes around, and I wake up, go to fitness class, do the routine. Now it's getting to the point where fitness, I make small, I guess I'm elevating my cardio, elevating my fitness slowly but surely. So there's not really too much, you know what I mean, that I could talk about with the fitness, except for maybe the routines. But, if I reveal the routines, then, I'm just pretty much revealing the fitness classes. So there's no reason for me to do that. So I go to fitness class, and like I said earlier, Thursday is supposed to be no gi, and that's actually when I had to talk with Alex, and that's when he gave me that advice. So this week or next week, I will be going to all the no-gi fundamental classes. I can't miss those. They're extremely important, so I'll be there. Friday, Friday was the most hectic day of the week because I wake up at 9 a.m. You go to fitness, and I've never done back-to-back like sessions. So George decided, or well, I decided that the best time would be to do a one-on-one session would be at 10 a.m. after the fitness class. So I go to the fitness class. I'm drenched in sweat. I'm exhausted, and I get on the mitts with George and work on footwork, work on balance, work on positioning, work on my hands. You know what I mean? Work on just the mechanics of everything. I'm learning so much. It's almost overwhelming, to be honest with you, of like how much I have to learn. And it's just like George is giving me like little bits and pieces every session. But those little bits and pieces, I feel like it will take years and years to master or to even just get average at. And I have to learn it in in a couple of months. But it's fun though. I'm enjoying it. I'm learning so much, and every little piece, even though there's frustration, every little piece of the puzzle that comes in, and like all the coaches are kind of putting it together right now. It's an imaginary puzzle in my head. Every time I kind of get a little piece from each person, get some advice, it makes me, I don't know, it makes me happier that I'm here doing it with them. You know what I mean? I'm getting confidence from that, and I love it, man. I think it's a great thing. I mentioned my lower back, and I mentioned my rib. Those are the two main things that are really bothering me. Like I do also have the shoulder. I think it's a rotator cuff type injury. I don't know exactly what it is. When I punch, I have to turn over my fist, right, like this. Boom, right? But every time I turn over my fist, my shoulder hurts, and if I hit something, the impact like echoes down my arm, and then just like sharp pain hits my shoulder. So now I have to make an adjustment. Most likely I'm not gonna be able to turn over my fist, but I just have to do it like that, or somehow like not, you cannot not use your shoulder, right? So I gotta make that adjustment. And George told me like find the, he gave me a little tip on what to do. One cool thing, from this week's session with George is that he told me that my hooks, my left hook, my right hook, are probably my most powerful punches, which is a surprise to me. You know what I mean? Like I didn't expect anything, to be honest with you, like especially with the striking. You know what I mean? Like it's just something that's so new to me. I didn't expect that at all, but like I said, it's a confidence booster, man. It's like it helps me to drive more and want more. And next week I'm gonna take the advice from Alex. I'm gonna take the advice from George. Practice more on my footwork, on my balance, on my hand positioning, and then not let things deter me from going to practice and taking advantage of all the time that I have. Even though I take advantage of all the time I do have here, but I gotta make adjustments to that. I'll see you guys next week. Be safe, and we'll see what happens.